Now, what about rail transport? Rail transport offers a number of advantages over the road transport. So we just looked at the road. Rail transport offers a number of advantages. So really, what are those advantages? The most obvious one that should jump out is the lower emissions. The lower emissions. Remember, 76% of the expenditure on logistics goes on road transportation, and it is bound to have a high emissions rate, high road congestions. However, that's not the case with the rail transport. So this lower emission is obviously one of the advantages. It's generally more sustainable than road transport with lower emissions per ton / kilometers. Using rail reduces congestion. Can you see it again? Reduces congestions on the road as against road transport. It is estimated that each train load of goods replaces 75 articulated truck loads on the road. Remember the articulated trucks, what they look like. Look at them. So one single rail load replaces 75 articulated truck loads. That's amazing. One single train load. So rail can be more reliable in terms of on-time delivery. More reliable in terms of on-time delivery, which can be beneficial when scheduling the movement of goods for immediate use. So if you want more reliability, maybe you should opt for rail transport. And that will also depend on the kind of goods that you want to transport. Heavy, expensive, go for the rail transport. Small, then probably you go for the cars and vans. So it depends on the type of goods that is being transported. Rail transport is often cheaper, much cheaper, particularly when you are carrying bulk items. So rail is much cheaper. It is much cheaper. Rail can be used to carry a range of products. Wagons come in different variety of different configurations, including open wagons for raw materials such as iron ore, tankers for liquids, and wagons adapted for special loads such as cars and vans. So they can also carry cars and vans. The usefulness of rail depends largely on the location of facilities. So the usefulness of rail depends largely on location of facilities that are convenient for loading and unloading. Remember when we're talking about storage facilities, they must be located at strategic places that will be convenient for you to utilize rail transport so that it will be easy for you to load and unload at either end of the load's journey. Roundland has an extensive network of railway lines. So this is something that we enjoy in Roundland. They have a very extensive network of railway lines, so there's no issues. The only thing we just need to deal with are the regulatory and the admin bureaucracies, all the necessary custom papers and all those things to be able to utilize the railway lines. So these lines are used for passengers and freight. All of the country's seaports have railway connections to their freight dock. So this is also another advantage. That is why the government is a key stakeholder in this kind of industry, because they are the ones that are in charge of all of these infrastructures, the railway lines, the seaport, the freight docks. All those places are controlled by the government. So those are one of the key stakeholders that we must manage properly, because that means we'll be under a lot of regulations, a lot of paperwork that needs to happen. And so it is possible to offload ships directly onto trains. So the railway lines are used by several rail operators, enabling logistics companies to offer both rail freight and road for transportation of goods, obviously. So they're going to be used by us as well, daystroke. Let's look at sea. Sea, on the other hand, it may be necessary to use sea freight simply because there are no alternatives when goods are to be transported to and fro a distant location. So that is when we consider sea transport. So for example, Roundland imports large quantities of grain from Northland, which is on the far side of the Western Ocean. That grain is transported to ports in round land on bulk carriers. So the grain is then transported by road. So first of all, to the port by sea, and then it will now be transported by road or rail to the factories where it will be used to make bread and other products. So bulk carriers have open loads. They are describing bulk carriers for us here now. So these are the bulk carriers. They have the open holds that can carry large quantities of goods such as grain. So you can see in this picture, I think this is grain that we are looking at here, or coal. Each type of load requires specialized equipment to allow it to be loaded and unloaded quickly and efficiently. Bulk goods are often, a lot of times they mention this requires specialized. So in this industry, a lot of specialized things are required, and it's a very sensitive industry that requires a lot of heavy duty materials, heavy duty and specialized stuff. You need specialized drivers to drive articulated trucks. They need specialized licenses, specialized facilities for your storage space and warehouse, robots and specialized machinery. And so a lot of specialized stuffs which will require huge financing if we are going to build any of these things or we are going to operate in this industry. That's why it will not be easy for anybody to just come into this industry. You see that when we're going through the Potter's 5 forces, how easy it is for new entrants to enter into the industry. It's not going to be very easy at all. The bar is very, very high because of these huge requirements that are needed to operate. So each type of load requires specialized equipment to allow it to be loaded and unloaded quickly and efficiently. Bulk goods are often loaded into open-top railway wagons at the dock. So liquids such as oil are carried on tanker ships. Yes, liquids can be pumped from tankers into storage tanks by the dockside. So a lot of logistics, a lot of things are needed, a lot of human resources are needed to do one thing or the other. A lot of processes are needed. So all of these processes, one of them must not go wrong. If not, you will increase the time that it requires for you to make your deliveries. And increasing the time means you are risking your corporate reputation, you are risking the trust that people are supposed to have on you. So everything is about time. Everything is about time in this industry. So those liquids can then be pumped to smaller ships or into tankers, towed by trucks or railway locomotives for onward transportation. So everything is very, very sensitive in this industry. It requires specialized things, and you have to find ways to reduce costs and be timely. Although everything involves lots and lots of processes, both the rail and the sea transport.